A very good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present here. This is Vijaya, your host and host for today's guest lecture session. This is guest lecture 7 of the guest lecture series of the Techno Management Fest of IIT Patna, Celesta. Right now, we are live on YouTube and Facebook. This year, amidst the pandemic situation, we have gone entirely virtual. But you don't need to worry because we have promised to give you an unparalleled experience. So grab your coffee, a pen, and notebook maybe, because such experiences come once in a while. Tell all your friends and family that they are invited to get hashtag excited. Today, we have amidst us Sir H.C. Verma. Padma Shri Professor Harish Chandra Verma was a professor in the Department of Physics at Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. Prior to joining IIT Kanpur, he served Science College, Patna University as lecturer and reader. His research interests are in nanofabrication using focused ion beam, magnetism in graphite or irradiation by ion beam, nanosized magnetic materials, ion-based alloys, earth sciences, etc. He has published 139 research papers in reputed journals. He has also written several books in physics for school and college level. He has developed more than 300 physics experiments which can be used by teachers as demos in their classrooms. Professor Verma is executive committee member of Indian Association of Physics Teachers, which works for physics education in schools and colleges. Professor Verma had been associated with social causes from the childhood. He has been instrumental in making a group of IIT Kanpur faculty members and students together with local youths to run an NGO called Shiksha Sopan. Through various centers in the villages around IIT Kanpur, Shiksha Sopan is in direct daily contact with around 250 families for giving them educational help and inculcating in them Indian values and culture. Team Celesta cordially invites you to this guest lecture session, sir. The audience and myself would like to know, how are you, sir?
I'm very fine. It was great moment to connect all these people through IIT Patna. Patna is, of course, my own place, so I'm very happy to be here in this. Kindly proceed.
We are glad to know that, sir. So without delaying further, I would like to hand over the stage to you, sir.
Okay. Very nice. So, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining for this session. And as I said, Patna is my home city. I spent all my childhood in Patna. I studied in schools of Patna. I studied in Patna Science College till bachelor's BSc Physics honors. And so, whenever this name Patna comes into the ears, I always feel very high. Okay, so thank you very much for inviting me for this particular lecture. And I think I can go straight into the PPT, which I have prepared today morning only for this particular session. So can I share my screen and show the PPT? The title of the talk is Spirit of Accepting Challenges. Okay. Am I sharing the screen? Hello? Vijaya, am I sharing the screen?
Yes, sir, you're sharing the screen, sir.
All right. Very good. Very good. Okay, so this is the title of the talk. In fact, early morning I got up 5:30 to think what I should say in this session, and of course I had given this title earlier, and therefore I prepared all these things only an hour ago. Okay, now I will start with a quadratic equation: ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. And everyone knows that there are two roots of this equation, and the roots are generally denoted by alpha and beta. You all know this. And the nature of the root, what is the final value? What is the final value coming out from this equation? That are different kinds. The nature of the roots, they can be real, they can be imaginary, they can be rational, they can be irrational. They can be positive, they can be negative, one positive, one negative. They can be small, they can be large, one small, one large. Varieties of possibilities are there for this alpha beta. And what is the actual output? That depends on the three constants which are there in this equation, A, B, and C. All right. So this A, B, and C, it's the fate of this equation, the final value of x that comes out from this equation. What is the nature of that? So everything is decided by this ABC. Now, if I go to life, it's not a second degree equation. It's not quadratic equation. It's a equation of n degrees. N may be very large. N may be very large, maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe 50. And therefore, there'll be n roots. So different people finally give different kinds of output to the society. Okay, so those are the values of this x. Those are the roots, and if it is n-fold equation, n degree, nth degree equation, it will have n roots, and the nature of the roots. Okay, nature of the roots: satisfaction or frustration. Finally, am I satisfied with my life? I am frustrated with my life. Is my career bright or my career average or below average? These are the nature of the root. Life is meaningful or it is meaningless. These are the varieties of nature of the roots. And of course, the definitions of these nature are different for different people. Uh, Same situation, one may get satisfaction and one may get frustration. Same situation, one can be very, very satisfied with the career and someone may not be satisfied. Then the meaning of meaningful life and meaningless life is also a very serious question, and hours and hours can be devoted to discuss all these things. But at the end, I know that my life is meaningful, or I know that okay, it was just okay, like that. So nature of this root are again very, very diverse, and all that will be guided by these constants which are appearing: an minus 1, an minus 2, a1, a naught. These will decide. So these are our parameters. As in quadratic equation, we say that a, b, c are parameters of the equation, and x is the value, is the variable of for which we want to know the values, actual output values. Similarly, here these an minus 1, a1, a naught, these are the parameters of our life equations. And if we keep these parameters okay, then we can expect the nature of roots which we expect, which we like. I want my life to be like this. But if that kind of life is finally is the output, is the outcome, then I have to adjust these parameters in that particular fashion. All right. So these are the first thing. The first thing is, first parameter is good health. You must have good health if you want to have a meaningful life, if you want to have a good career, if you want to become an asset to the society. Whatever is your parameter of a successful life, whatever is your parameter of success, the first thing is you need very good health. And therefore you take care of your health. And generally people will say that eat good food and don't go for junk food and so on. So diet is one thing, definitely. Yes, the health is affected if you are eating junk foods and unhealthy food. Your health will be, it will be difficult to get good health. And similarly, exercise. Everyone says that exercising is very necessary and everyone should do some exercise. I also advise everyone to do exercise regularly, although I do not do that. Okay, I have never done regular exercises. My exercises are also very isolated peaks. Sometimes I am in a gathering and everyone is doing exercise, collective exercise, some social event, yes, I will definitely do it. But on my own, every morning exercise, very difficult for me. But I keep on advising people that everyone should do exercise because good health is very, very necessary. The very important thing is you should have noble thoughts. That is my experience. That is my experience. I do not do much of exercise. I do not care much about diets, although I do not generally, I do not eat those samosas and those what momos and like those things. But then I'm not very particular that I have to take this much of green vegetables and that much of protein and that much of carbohydrate. I don't think on these things. So diet is a very normal kind of I mean, not well managed, or I don't think about it. Exercises, I do not do regular exercises. But yes, the thoughts wise, I believe, or people also say that I always am positive, I'm thinking of others, I love everyone, and I exert myself, I put a lot of efforts, not for myself, but for the society, but for the people, but for the students. And somehow I get so much of love and affection. When this session started, in the chat box, I was just seeing the comments, good morning, good morning, good morning. But in between, there were beautiful comments by some students, I believe. So much of love, so much of affection, so much of good wishes. People think of me, and I believe that they bless me. And it is a blessing of so many people that keeps me healthy. That is my own understanding of my health. So, so if you have a good diet, good exercise, and noble thoughts, then only you can make a dent. And that's my take. So good health is a very important parameter, and that's why I have kept it at the first place. Because if you are not in good health, you will not be able to concentrate. You will not be able to put effort into whatever you are doing, and then that root of the equation will not be as you wish. You want positive roots, and it will give you negative roots. You want satisfactory outputs, and it can give you frustration and all those things. So to get good roots, you should have this parameter in under your good control, good health. Knowledge, very necessary, very necessary. You must have knowledge, and knowledge has so many facets, so many facets. We start gathering knowledge just after the birth. Okay, before going to any preschool, any nursery, KG, the first 2 years, the first 2.5 years, we gather so much of knowledge from our surrounding, from our family, from our parents, from our siblings, from our friends, whoever come to our house in 1 year, 2 year of age. I learned from everything that is there, everything that is there. And so much of knowledge I gain in those first 2, 3 years. And after that, it is more systematic learning on top of learning from the surrounding, on top of learning from the nature. Then is imposed on us this systematic learning. Schools, there's a definite syllabus, there's a definite schedule, there are examinations, there are tests, and we are told that we have done well in the test, we have done badly in the test, and this process continues. Preschool, then high school, middle school, high school, college, higher learning institutes. This process continues, and sometimes this natural process of learning, that means learning from the events, learning from the surrounding, learning from the experience, goes to backstage. And this imposed systematic learning by the teachers of the school, college, institutions, that starts dominating, and sometimes it doesn't pay well. Okay, but nevertheless, whatever is the mean, natural process, in natural process, we have to gather knowledge if we want to do something in the life. So there's another parameter. A1, A2, A3, A4 is another parameter, a very important parameter in knowledge. And if I describe this knowledge, there are several things. One is cramming, to mug it up, to remember. It's at the tip of my tongue. Okay, so that cramming is necessary. I am not against cramming. People say that cramming is not good. One should only understand and this and that. But cramming is very, very necessary. I should always remember that 6 sevens are 42. I should always remember that the differentiation of sine theta is cos theta, and cos theta, or differentiation of cos theta is minus sine theta. I should always remember that if I have to differentiate product of two functions, then I have to keep first function fixed and differentiate the second function, then second function fixed and differentiate the first function and then add. So that cramming is very, very necessary. If I don't do that cramming, if don't I remember the formulae, don't remember the equations, then it will be very difficult for me to survive. And remembering equations, remembering formulae, and remembering procedures, how to do it. If I have to get LCM of it, what I have to do. So it's not remembering a formula, but remembering a procedure. If I have to integrate a product of two functions, what I have to do. So all those things we have to remember, we have to cram, we have to mug it up. So procedures and the results, many things are needed, and therefore this cramming is one part of the knowledge, important part. But then it is necessary, but definitely not sufficient. Definitely not sufficient. In fact, it's necessary, but then it will help you only to a very limited extent. And therefore, understanding is very necessary. Everyone says that samajh ke padho, samajh ke padho, ratta mat maro, samajh ke padho. So understanding what you are cramming is extremely important, and that understanding has to be developed. Otherwise, you will remember 100 things, but you will not know which formula, which equation is to be used where, or it at all, whether it is to be used or not. So you will not know that, and then you will not be applying it at the right point, and therefore you will not be deriving the right kind of result. So that understanding is very, very necessary. But even that is not sufficient. Even that is not sufficient. आपने बहुत समझ के पढ़ा है, even that is not enough. Okay, you understand everything, and the schools and colleges are meant for that. The teachers are there to make you understand. The teachers will explain things, and if a teacher is committed, delivery is good, communication skills are good, then the teacher will explain the thing so well that you will understand it quickly. Okay, so all that the schools, colleges, that network is for make you understand things, right? So that is very, very necessary. You should understand, but even that is not sufficient. You should also have capabilities to think. Thinking is very different from understanding. When I say understanding, someone has explained something, there are some books, something is written there, I have to study that, I have to read that, I have to understand it well. And I can do that if I am concentrating on those texts, if I am listening to my teacher well, if my teacher is delivering the things in a nice fashion, I can understand. But thinking is a totally different game. Thinking is when you are alone and you are thinking on it. There's some problem, there's some situations, and you start thinking. Nobody is telling you, nobody is helping you. And nowadays, this thinking part is going away. People write mails to me for asking different physics questions, and many of them will say that I am very upset with this question, and as soon as this question came to my mind, I started Google searching it, and I spent hours and hours, but I could not get the answer at any of the sites. So you please help me. So people are not thinking. People are not thinking. People are not connecting the things. I give you an example. For example, let us say, Vijay, can we interact with some of the students? Can they be unmuted and can we interact a little bit?
Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, sir, I can take up the questions from the comments.
No, I want to ask some questions.
Yes, sir, you can ask them. They'll answer in the comments, sir.
In the comments, okay. And
Yes,
then,
sir.
then you will tell me what kind of answers are there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. So let's start this quiz. First thing,
Yes, sir.
how many colors are there in white light? Write your answer in chat box and Vijaya will tell what are your most of the answers. If there are common answers, she will tell.
The common answer is 7.
7. Okay, very good, very nice. What kind of object this light is? Electromagnetic wave or something else?
Still answers coming for the previous question, and some are saying infinite.
Okay, good, very good. That is also fine.
It's
Now,
it's a for the second question, we have an answer that it's a mixture of spectrum. Some are saying electromagnetic waves, particle and wave nature. So these are some of the common answers, sir.
right. So whatever nature, essentially it is electric field and magnetic field, right? That is how this light interacts with other objects, puts dipoles of the atoms into vibrations because you have electric field, oscillating electric field in the light. So light is a combination of electric field and magnetic field, and light has 7 colors. That means when electric fields are there, when magnetic fields are there, you have colors. So you have red electric fields, yellow electric fields, blue electric fields, violet magnetic field, orange magnetic field. So the ingredients of light are electric field and magnetic field, and light has 7 colors. That means electric field and magnetic fields are colored object. Is that okay? Is that okay? So you were taught that light is electric field and magnetic field. You were taught that electric field is just some q1 by 4 pi epsilon or r square, and it has some direction, it has some magnitude. That time you were never told that electric field also has a color.
Yes, sir.
You are taught about magnetic field, but never anyone told you that magnetic fields have colors. But when electric field and magnetic field are there together as a combination in a particular fashion, you say that light has 7 colors or infinite number of colors. Each wavelength has a different color. What is wavelength? What is wavelength? Wavelength only tells you at a certain instant, after this much of gap, the electric field has the same value. That's it. What else wavelength is? Wavelength is only a distance, and it's distance so that if you take 2 points at that separation, these 2 points will have same electric field, same magnetic field at any given instant. That is wavelength. Then how come 500 nanometer is one color and 700 nanometer is another color and 634 is yet another color and 440 is yet another color? Have you thought about it?
No, sir.
So that is what I'm saying. The understanding is different thing. Thinking is different thing. If your thinking cells are active, then you should have thought about it. When your teacher says that light has colors, and when your teacher says that light has combination of electric field and magnetic field, then you should have thought that how come, where is this color coming from the electric field or from the magnetic field, from where these two are color, there are no colors in these two ingredients. So that's the kind of thinking I am saying, that your thinking self should be very, very active. You should be capable to think. So cramming, understanding, and also thinking and experiencing also. You have all that analysis that you can do in your brain. But if you have not experienced it, will you be able to build something on that? Very, very difficult. I understand what refraction is. I understand how this light bends when it goes from first medium to second medium. I have crammed sine I by sine r equal to mu, and I can calculate with how much will be the bending. I have understood it well. It is the electric field, it's the magnetic field, it's the dielectric properties of the two media, and then there are some constraints because of which the light bends. I understand that theory also. But if I have not seen the rainbow, if I have not seen the rainbow, will I be able to experience it? Or it will be just a theoretical exercise, a mathematical exercise, refraction, sin I, sin R, electric field, magnetic field matching at the boundary of the dielectric and this and that. That experiencing it, physically experiencing, is also very necessary when you gather knowledge about something, and then you understand it, you think over it, and deeply you understand it. Everything is there, but then you have to experience it. Ultimately, science is for life, for the life situations, for the nature. So unless we connect this science to the actual surrounding, actual nature, and that was our natural process of learning, remember. The roots of the equations are not going to be very, very nice. Okay. So this knowledge, good health, and then knowledge, gaining this capability, getting those skills of thinking, experiencing, understanding, cramming. So that is another good that is one set of parameters that you should be there in your equation. Patience. Another parameter. If you have less patience, if you have more patience, the root of the equation may not be real, okay, or may not be good, may not be acceptable to you. You may not like those roots. Patience is also very important. Many times we do a lot of efforts, and we know that we are doing efforts, and people are saying that there's no result, you are failure, you are putting 8 hours and 10 hours of your time into the studies, but then your results are not good, this, that, blah 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 blah. I should not give up. Okay, I should not give up. And what I have written, the roots may not be 2 minutes noodle, very tasty, and the result comes out very quickly. Okay, but then there's no long term. It's not a long term asset. It doesn't help in making you healthy. It doesn't really help you in keeping good length, good health, and so on, so on. It may be delicious moong ki dal ka halwa. It takes long time, and you have to keep patience. Similarly, another example, if you put vegetable seeds in the soil, maybe in a week or so, you will see, okay, it's coming out of the soil, some leaves and some small plant, maybe visible in a week or 10 days. And in a month, or a couple of months, we can pick the vegetables and enjoy. But if you put those mango things, if you put those gutli jisko kehte in the soil, the mango tree will come up in a very long time, and you will get your mangoes from the tree 5 years after that, especially if it is Darbhanga Malda Aam, or it is Patna Digha mango, Malda mango. If those kind of trees you plant now, you will gain the fruits in first 5, 6, 7 years after that. You will get the first lot of the fruit, right? So planting vegetable is also very important, very important, right? We need vegetables, but we also need mango trees. Okay, so and then all those 5, 6 years that is there, you have to water, you have to take care of it, and the plant is also working very hard. The plant is going deep into the soil, deep into the soil. Such a big tree it has to support. So the roots are going much deeper into the soil and it's taking time. So one should have patience. Okay, so that's another parameter of your equation which you have to control, which you have to uh, keep it in optimum range. Then there are some spirits. There are many other things which one can think of, but then I will be concentrating on this spirit of asking questions. And asking questions doesn't mean asking question to your teacher in the classroom. Asking question to yourself. The questions should originate into your mind. Okay, the questions should originate into your mind. And once questions have originated, then you should start thinking on it. That thinking cells should be active. And then you should come out with the solution. You should come out with the answers. If your understanding of the subject is good, if your understanding of the phenomena is good, if you can think nicely on some subject, then you will come out with the answers of the questions. So a new question which arises in the mind, and then you work on it and get your answer yourself, that really enriches your output of this life equation. Then spirit of setting personal agenda. Your institution, IIT Patna, if you are a student of IIT Patna or wherever you are, your institution has given you certain targets. They are giving you certain courses, and the expectation is that whatever lectures are delivered, whatever labs are there in that course, you will be doing them very well. You will try to work very hard on those things, and you will get good results. You will get good grade cards. Or if it is a BTP project, you have been assigned to make something new, some project, then you will come out with a good BTP project. Your institute should be proud of you. But this is a common agenda. It is the agenda set for the entire batch. But you are unique. There is no one like you. You are unique, and therefore you should have some separate your own personal agenda. Okay. But if you set your own personal agenda, it will be a great challenge because no one is going to help you. It is your agenda. People, even if they like to help, maybe they will not be able to help you because you have set the agenda. If I have set agenda for you, yes, I can very much help. And what amount of help I have to give and what amount I have to leave for you, it's my discretion. But I can help. But if you have set the personal agenda and then you are asking a help from me, I may not be able to do it. So that is a big challenge. And can you take up that challenge? Can you take up that particular challenge? So that is the spirit of accepting challenge, and that is what is the title of today's talk. And I will only tell you some stories from my life. Okay, for accepting this challenge, the spirit of accepting challenge, I'll just tell you some stories from my life. The first story is from IIT Kanpur, 1975. 1975 July semester, I was admitted to IIT Kanpur for my 2-year MSc program. I completed my Bachelor's of Science, BSc Physics Honors from Patna Science College. And then I was admitted to IIT Kanpur 1975. So I was a Pakka Bihari. Although I had done all my courses of BSc in English, the lectures were in English, the examinations were in English. I wrote my examinations in English. I read lots of books at BSc honors stage. They were all in English. That's all fine. My teachers were lecturing in English, but then it was a Bihari style English. Okay. So there was no problem. And the English was limited to the classrooms, the textbooks, and the examinations. Once we have left the classroom, if the bell has gone and we have left the classroom and we are in the veranda, and my teacher is also in the veranda, we will never talk in English. It will always be Hindi. But at IIT Kanpur, when I got admitted in the first semester, there were 4 theory courses and 1 experimental lab course, 5 courses. And all the professors will always talk only in English, whether it is classroom or it is outside the classroom, it is lab, it is everywhere. Unless you return to your hostel and, and sit with your friends, it will be English, 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 English. So I had huge problem. Of the 4 these theory classes, one, Professor Abhijit Mukherjee, he joined IIT Kanpur the same year I joined. He as a faculty and I as a student. The kind of understanding his language, if you ask me to grade, I really did not understand a single sentence from the entire lecture. So it started from there, from that peak. And the best was Professor Gyan Mohan, who was from Bihar, and that is why I was able to follow his English to a good extent, say 70, 75%, 80%. And then the other 2 were in between somewhere, some 20% or 30% I will understand, and rest I will not. It was a big challenge. Similarly, in the lab course. In the lab course also, professors will be there to supervise, and if I have anything to ask, I will go to those professors who are sitting there. And since the experiments at MSc level IIT Kanpur were very, very different from what we used to do in our science college, Patna Science College labs, that interaction with teachers was very necessary. I did not know the instruments, those sophisticated big instruments. I knew nothing about it. So I had to ask so many questions. I have to learn from my professors. Professors will always talk in English and I will not understand. So that was a big challenge. But then I did not go to for any help. I did not go to my counseling section or my seniors for remedial classes, English classes, extra English classes, and learning grammar from there, and some conversations from there. No. I accepted the challenge. I have to do it. I have to do it. Even if I don't understand their lectures, at least I know what they are writing on the board. I know what they are writing on the, what kind of equations, what kind of things they are writing on the board. And then I have a central library. I will go, I will look into the books and I will read it there. I'll put a much extra effort, because it is as if I am only told in the lecture that this is the topic that that was taught today. That's all. Rest of it I have to learn myself, and from my friends, with whom I can talk in Hindi. So that was the kind of challenge. Accepted the challenge, worked very hard on it consistently with full confidence that I will do it. And I did it. All the 5 courses, I got the A grades in the first semester itself. And that continued almost till the end. And finally, I graduated with the performance index of 9.9. So that was first story. Now, the second story is again from IIT Kanpur, and it is third, fourth semester. In third semester, we were asked to do an experimental project in a research lab, the part of my MSc course. So somehow I landed up in this nuclear physics laboratory for this experimental project of my MSc, third semester and fourth semester. And that was 1976. That was my third semester in MSc, and I was registered in that particular experimental project course. And in my lab, the experiments were such that the data of each experiment will be some 512 data points, numbers, 512 numbers. It will be a spectrum. It's called Mossbauer spectroscopy. So it will be a spectrum. It will be, spectrum means not colors. Spectrum means is some kind of energy analysis, energy dispersion. So for different energy slots on the one side, and we will have different numbers from this nuclear uh, setup, and those 500 data points will be according to certain functional form, and that functional form could be, the basic ingredients will be, let's say, 6 peaks curves, or 2 peaks curves, or 1 peak curve. Combination of such things with different parameters will give me the final result. Okay, so if I plot, the plot could be something like this. But if I look at the plot with my experience, I can tell that it seems to be a combination of two sextets, 6 line peaks. So draw two separate spectrum, each with 6 dips. Okay, with different amplitude, different weight, different positions, and so on. At least two such sextets I can see here. Then few doublets are also there, and maybe few singlets are also there. If I write an equation for such thing, there will be some 15 or 20 parameters, which will finally relate to the properties of the particular system that I am studying. The quadrupole moment there, the magnetic moment there, and so on and so forth. But that time, looking at this spectrum, having the data for this spectrum, I can plot this spectrum. We used to plot manually on the graph paper all these 512 points, and I will get this shape. Now, in that research lab, all the PhD students who were there working, they used to do these kinds of experiments, and then they will guess the values of those 15, 20 parameters. Just guess, looking at this. And for that, they will publish the research papers, and they will discuss the entire physics of that particular sample, that particular material that is under study in this nuclear physics setup. So it was very peculiar to me that how can I give the values of so many parameters and say that these are the parameters which will produce this kind of spectra. And in 1976, the computers were just started going into research labs, and in my research lab, no such thing has yet come. And a very fresh third semester student of MSc 2 year, when I reached there and I saw this, then I thought, okay, I know on computer programming. Can I not write a program for this? And how do I know computer programming? Not that I had learned in my school C++. Today, in today's world, class 10th student and class 11th student know so much of computation. There's so much of programming and so much of playing with different kinds of softwares and writing codes. But in our our times, those things were not there. In the first semester of MSc at IIT Kanpur, I was given a course by Dr. Rajaraman in Fortran programming. And the first course in programming, the first introduction to computers, you can understand what kind of programming I could have done in that first semester. It was all finding the smallest of given three numbers and largest of given three numbers, and then divisibility check, and these kind of some programs. Each program would take some 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines. So that was the kind of training I had. Very, 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 very rudimentary. Very, very rudimentary. But then I said, no, let me try, let me write a program of whatever length to do this least square fitting analysis of this spectrum. And I started working on it. And in those 2 semesters that I was there, and I was doing all the assigned things. But this was my personal agenda. My supervisor did not tell me to do that. If the PhD students are doing all the analysis manually and using guess, then as a MSc project student, it was perfectly all right if I do the same. In fact, I was supposed to learn. All these students, project students, are supposed to learn from the PhD students who are working in those labs for years. So fulfilling all the assigned tasks, whatever, make this furnace or do this or make the samples, go to the material science lab and melt it there and make this alloy. All those tasks I had to perform. And on top of this, this was my personal agenda that I will give it a try and I will write a program. It took lot of efforts, and things will not come so easily. In those times, we did not have tabletop computers that you can spend 2 3 hours or 5 hours or 8 hours on the computer and then and work. We used to write the program, go for card punching, and then with those stack of cards we will go to the computer center, stand in a long queues and submit our cards there, and after 24 hours we will get the result, and the result will be error in line number 87, program abandoned. Again we will make corrections, again we will do the same cycle of card punching, and again next morning we will go there, stand in the queue, submit our things, and then the output will come and it will say that okay, 87th line is okay now, but in 130th line there's another syntax error. So like that, it was very difficult task, but I had patience. I had confidence. I had capability. I have determination to go ahead with it, whatever. And finally, before, in fact, at the by the end of the first semester itself, I finally showed my supervisor, look, here is a program which takes all your data, which takes the functional form with adjustable parameters and looks for the parameters, so that and find the values of those parameters which gives you least deviations from the this data, and it fits it so excellently. So my supervisor was so happy, and I was so happy when I joined as assistant professor in 1994 and went to my lab where I worked in 1976, and met the PhD students who were working there in 1994. And I asked them what kind of program you use for analyzing your data. And then they said that we do not use any professional program. The program is already there in the lab and we are using that. Then I asked, show me the program. Can you show me the program? And they showed me the program. It was the same program that I had written in 1976. Okay, so that's the kind of story of accepting challenges and fulfilling it. All right, third story is concepts of physics. I think I have talked so much, so I should stop also. So this was also a personal agenda. It was also a big challenge because when I started teaching at Patna Science College, I was appointed there in 1979, and I was given this class 11 and 12. And in 3-4 years, I realized that there's a huge necessity of a textbook of physics, which packages learning of physics in natural surrounding that are there in an average Indian student's family. So that was the challenge. There were books with extremely good physics. Rasnik Halide was one which I am a great admirer of. So there were books with very excellently written and good physics and good description, everything. But then it was not tuned to the lifestyle that an average Indian student would live. And therefore, that connection, that experiencing, I said, in the knowledge you are cramming, understanding, thinking, and experiencing. That experience will not come from such a textbook. So that was a big challenge. Can I produce such a textbook? 1984 to 1992, 8 years I worked on it, and the concepts of physics came out. And the last story is from 2020, 21 has not yet arrived, still few days. This NAST is National Anveshika Experimental Skill Test. Every year under the banner of Indian Association of Physics Teachers, we do this national competition. Maybe many of you who have joined in this session may have gone through this national competition this year. It is our annual program. Annually, we conduct this national competition of experimental skill test where we register students. Then, after some screening, we select some for performing the experiment. We call them in our laboratories at 26 places in India, and we will call students there, and some experiments will be given to them, and evaluators will look at those and evaluate, and national first, second, third will be finally chosen. So those activities are going on for several years, 7, 8 years. But this year, because of this pandemic, we could not ask students to travel and go to the labs and do the experiments, and therefore what to do. So this was a big challenge, because it's not a theory exam. It's not something where I set the question paper, put on the website, and you download on your mobiles and answer there, and we get the data, and the computer program evaluates, and the first, second, thirds are announced. It's not that. It's a experimental skill test. So the student has to perform experiments, and I have to evaluate that, how to do it. So we accepted the challenge. Yes, we will do it. We will do it. We will make students perform the experiment, and we will evaluate on that. September, October was the month when this second round invited. The first round was, of course, through videos, and we showed some experiments, videos, and then asked questions on that, and they wrote the answers, and based on that, we did the first screening. Some 48,000 students registered for this test, and after screening, we filtered some 1,200 students for actually performing the experiment in the second round. So what to be done? What we did? We sat through and long sessions in our group, and we designed experiments, physics experiments, which can be performed in the house itself with the items that are available in the house itself, and which has all the ingredients of a good experiment on which we can do the evaluation. So data taking, and then accuracy, the error analysis, the tabulation of data, doing calculations, bringing out meaningful quantities, physical quantities from there, plotting the graph, everything will be there. So those kind of experiments we could design. We did design some 4 of them, 5 of them, in fact, we designed. Like if we have this finding the value of this small g using rolling of a cylinder on an inclined plane. So that belan, which is used to make chapatis, that was our rolling object. Every family will have it. And then the kind of inclined plane, we asked them to take whatever study table or anything, any chowki or anything, that surface that you have, and then lift it from one side by putting some books and so on. But then accurately measure the inclination, and we say that our value should start from somewhere around 2 degrees. So to make an incline of 2 degrees, and then to measure it, what is the angle, and write the data in the table, and how much time it takes going from one point to other point, and from the value of g. So those kind of experiments on optics, on mechanics, we designed, and we sent the write-up to the students, and we asked them to take help of their family members also. Okay, so not only the student, but the family members were also involved. They were asked to do 3 experiments. We sent one by one, and for each experiment we gave them 1 week of time. 1 week of time, and it was a celebration time in the family. Everyone was there to perform the experiment, and then take the data, do the analysis, this and that. And we had already instructed that at what stages they should have JPG pictures, and at what stage they need to do a video of 30 seconds or 10 seconds or 20 seconds, showing the reading that they are taking after making all the adjustment, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And all those reports were shared through Google Drive, and our 118 evaluators were there to evaluate those experiments of 1,200 students. So it was a huge exercise that was performed, and we are very happy that it went so well. The students were so excited. Many students wrote that first time we experienced what physics is. In the schools, we are doing what cramming and deriving things, deriving equations, this and that, but physics in action. And our house is such a good physics laboratory. First time we realized. Okay, so we accepted the challenge. The finals are yet to go. That's why I'm writing 21. So from those 1,200, we have now selected 36, and these 36 will be given another set of 3 experiments for which we have sent them some apparatus, multimeter and compass and some apparatus, and the experiments are designed for finals that they will be doing, and finally the results will be announced in January. So these are the kind of things that are examples that if you have this zeal to accept challenges and work hard on it with a lot of patience, a lot of thinking, a lot of understanding, then you can really make it. So that is it. So keep your parameters an minus 1, a2, a1, a0 correct, and your life will be meaningful. Thank you very much. So I'll stop here. Vidya.
So what an amazing session this was. I'm sure
Thank
our
you.
audience and everyone watching this are highly inspired now, especially the recipes you told about life. No philosophy had explained us this much, especially as engineers.
Thank you. Thank you.
So especially as engineers who understand equations, you taught us equations of life. That is amazing, sir.
Thank you very much.
So we would like to take some questions that are there in the comments.